Hey, so we have this problem, and they want us, given our function g of x equals 8 square root of 8x plus 5, we need to start by finding the domain. Alrighty, domain. Alrighty, when we're dealing with square roots, we want the stuff on the inside to be greater than or equal to 0. Alright, so 8x plus 5 greater than or equal to 0. I'm going to subtract 5 to both sides, and we get 8x greater than or equal to -5. I'm going to divide by 8, I get x is greater than or equal to -5/8. All right, so what that means is for all of my x values greater than -5/8, I'm good. But if it's less than that, then I'm not good. That isn't going to be in my domain because I'm going to get a negative number in my square root, and we can't take the square root of a negative number. So my domain goes from -5/8 all the way to infinity. So this is my domain. All right, that part's done. The next part, we need to determine if the function is even or odd or neither. All right. So the graph of this function will look something like this. All right. If it was even, it would be symmetric about the y-axis. If it was odd, it'd be symmetric about the x-axis. It'd be symmetric. If it was even, it would be symmetric about, even if it's symmetric about the y-axis, odd if it's symmetric about the origin, and neither means it's not symmetric about anything. All right. So another way we could have done this is even is f of negative x equals f of x. Odd means f of negative x equals negative f of x. And for this function, if we plug in g of negative x, we're going to get square root of 8 times negative x plus 5, which is square root of -8x plus 5. Alrighty, this is not equal to g of x, and it's not equal to negative g of x. So then we say this is neither. Neither. It's not even and it's not odd. We can also see that because it's not symmetric in our graph here. Alrighty. Now it's asking for what are the roots. Ready? Roots. The roots are where this function is equal to 0. So square root of x plus 5, 8x plus 5 equal to 0. Alrighty. I'm going to square both sides because I can do that. Square both sides. I'm going to get 8x plus 5 equals 0. I can subtract 5 to both sides, and I'm going to get 8x equals -5. Divide by 8, divide by 8. I'm going to get x is equal to -5/8. This is a root of my function. So that would be my only root. All right. Then it asks, what are the x-intercepts? These are where it touches the x-axis. All right. So all right. So if it's an x-intercept, it's where your y is 0. So we're going to set g of x equal to 0 and solve for x. So we get square root of 8x plus 5 equals 0. But that's the same as what we just did, and we just found that this is x equals -5/8. Right? And then the y-intercept is where x is 0. Right? Y-intercept. We're going to set x is equal to 0, so we're going to do g of 0. Square root of 8 times 0 plus 5, we get square root of 5. So this is our y-intercept, square root of 5. All right. And then this last one, what is the inverse function? G inverse. All right. I'm going to do that to the right here. Ready? Our g of x equals square root of 8x plus 5. and we want to find the inverse. So I'm going to replace this g of x with y. All right. Now I'm going to flip them, and I'm going to get x equals square root of 8y plus 5. Now I'm going to solve for y in terms of x. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to square both sides. So I get x squared equals 8y plus 5. Subtract 5 to both sides. X squared minus 5 equals 8y. And now I'm going to divide by 8. And I get x squared minus 5 over 8 equals y. This would be my inverse function. This y is my g inverse of x.